Okay, well, it's welcome for you. It's nice to see you coming back. If you did, I don't know. We've got another movie. Of course, you know what it is. It's Bounty Hunter from 2010. Imagine they made earlier movies of this, so this is probably a remake, like most movies. So we've got our ex-cop chasing his ex-wife through this whole movie. He's a bounty hunter instead of an ex-cop because he had some problems on the force. Yeah, it's a real fun movie. He drives around in an old car. Okay, former New York Police Department, the bounty hunter, his ex-wife, and then she is arrested by a police officer bumping a police officer, assaulting a police officer with her car. And she skips bail because she's working on this story of a suicide. She keeps asking her mom, which way would you jump, to the trees or straight to the pavement? But, this is based in New Jersey. He tracks her. He ends up getting the bounty because they try to hide it from her, give it to somebody else. But he ends up getting the bounty, ends up chasing her. So this is I believe this is an action comedy, well, love story too. So he ends up catching her at after talking to mom and all that, he ends up catching her at a track, trying to suck up some luck and trying to figure out all of her paperwork on this suicide she's investigating. And their friend is the guy that's given her all the information and wrote the report wrong, which is kind of interesting how they end up doing all this. So they end up breaking into a country club, trying after he catches her. Funny part of this movie is he's after he catches her around, gets her around the cabs. He pulls his guns out and she says, "You're not going to shoot me, are you?" And she said, "No, I'm going to shoot a cabbie that lets you in." And all the cabs lock up right away. Well, I don't know if they'd hear you, but it seems like a good idea. Then he ends up taking her, putting cuffs on her, hauling her out to the car, and putting her in the trunk because he's got one of those old cars with a big trunk, which is pretty good. And they don't have the modern pull handle, so she couldn't get out easily. So she's basically locked up, and on the way to jail, she sets off she calls him first, and then when that didn't work, she sets off a flare in the trunk, smokes up not only the trunk but the cab, and then when he stops to open the trunk to check on her, she gets out and tries to run on the side of the freeway. He tackles her, brings her back, and then puts her in the front seat so he can keep an eye on her, and then she ends up convincing him to follow up on the suicide, prove Bobby's wrong or right, and then they end up in Atlantic City so they can gamble to make $5,000 because that was her bounty, and $10,000, $500 to $10,000. So they end up losing everything they got, like most gambling do. It's kind of funny how this works. So he changes her to the bed, and then they end up running around a golf course. There's some interesting things after he changes her to the bed, but I'm not going to talk about them all. It could be a porn if it went the right way, but it wasn't. I think it's rated R or PG. I'll have to check the ratings on this later. It's not a explicit movie at all. Nobody gets undressed. They don't even show anything. But anyway, they end up driving a golf cart into the pond, and then there was a guy that's stalking the ex-wife, and he ends up getting caught by the bad guys because he's messing around with the bounty hunter's car. And they do all kinds of things to him. Break a leg with a golf club, shoot him up with horse tranquilizers. beat him up, hit him with baseball bats, all kinds of fun stuff. It's kind of a good plot changer. It helps. Now, move my thing here. I lost my place. Guess I should say, where am I at and what am I doing, huh? No, I'm not doing that. Anyway, so I guess the bounty hunter's got lots of gambling debts. So that's why that guy got beat up. Lewis Lovestruck co-worker. Lovestruck co-worker is what I called him. Anyway, so they ended up after the golf course, they ended up at a bed and breakfast where they had their honeymoon, and it seems like they're getting along pretty good until in the morning. He ends up chained to the bedpost, and she ends up with the car keys and everything they had, and takes off with the car and ends up back in Vegas or Atlantic City. So he catches up to her, and after he gets his hands uncuffed, he catches up to her, gets his car back, and then runs into the back of her trike tourist bicycle where they give people rides. And then there's a story how she got the bicycle, which is kind of funny too. You'll have to go see it for yourself. Then they end up going to a tattoo parlor, and then she ends up getting kidnapped at the tattoo parlor. All kinds of fun stuff that going on in this movie. So at the end, she ends up, after they decide to get back together, she ends up in jail to see the judge for her skipping bail. And then because he didn't want to leave her for the first night they decided to reconcile, he finds an officer he had problems with earlier in the movie and hits him square on the face so he could be in the same jail with her next to her. So they both have to wait for 24 hours to be arraigned. So let's see. This was Columbia Pictures movie. And then it was released in March 19th, 2010. 106 minutes, which is a long one. United States English. They made the budget was 40 to 45 million. They're not really sure of the number on that one, and it made 136.3 million. It's about average, I guess. Pretty good movie. I gave it a 5-star rating. Now, for those among my friends that I use their, since I've got that set up, I use my friend's Synology server as backup servers, and then they can get their own Plex account lifetime, and then when I get the server to them after it's been backed up and set up to be backed up, then I just take each one. When I get a new person who wants to be a backup server holder, I just mine will take three to four backups, and I take off of those and make that one back up to another one. So every one of the friends that want to be involved and actually help me, all their servers get backed up with all the movies on my server. So if I put a new one on the next day or 2 days later, depending upon how far along the chain they are, they get a copy of the movie on their Plex so they can watch it whenever they want. They don't have to stream from mine and burn my internet up. And it backs up at like 3 o'clock in the morning when nobody's using the internet, which is kind of cool. Yeah, I just recently got the upgrade too, so I've got 100 terabytes of free space to use. I'm only at like 3.5, 4, maybe 4. Or just under 4 terabytes, so it's kind of cool. I can just keep on buying movies as willy-nilly as I want, convert them with my computer and the proper software, and then I've got the hard copies, the DVDs or Blu-rays, or even 4K Blu-rays in some cases. Then they go through this system, and then whatever type of TV they get put on, they get digitally enhanced or cut down. They're full screen now, except for one movie, which I haven't found the HD version to make it full screen. But every other movie I got on there is full screen. I kind of like it. So anyway, looks like people are going crazy outside. I have to go find out what that is. So anyway, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, the star on this movie was Jennifer Aniston. And hopefully, if you watched this far, you've already subscribed and liked and hit the bell icon and whatever else it takes to make sure that I get notifications, been to my website, all that fun stuff. Because it's still up. Anyway, almost forgot. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here or pop out of here so that you can catch me on the next video. I'll be back then.